Here's 50 crazy facts about Destiny, and I saved the best one for last. Witherhoard has a secret ability that turns enemies into Taken. Because of this, anything affected by Witherhoard takes more damage from Wishender and Malfeasance. In the original concept of Destiny, we were probably going to have pets like the tiger in this concept art. If this did become a feature, we probably would have gotten wolf pets like the ones in Year 3. There's a shader that constantly changes colors. With Photo Finish, any weapons, armor, or vehicles with lights will turn RGB. The original white damaged ghost shell can be masterworked. No other white or green item can do this. Whisper of the Worm used to have infinite ammo. Right now, when you shoot 3 crits, you get 1 ammo back, but it used to give you all 3 back. This made it super overpowered, and it eventually got fixed. The Black Armory forges were never removed from the game. They're just sub-areas now that have no real purpose besides maybe hinting at a Black Armory 2.0. Kindled Orchid was the first weapon to get double damage perks, and very few weapons since then have gotten 2 damage options. Doom of Chelchis is one of them. You can get out of bounds in the tower. Grab the Floor is Lava buff, then head over to the bazaar. Once you're here, you can jump out of bounds to get a great view of the city and the old tower. Speaking of, in the files of the game, there was a cube map of an updated version of our old tower. It's definitely an improvement to our current tower, but there's no telling if this is a scrapped idea or if it's going to be added in the future. They are doing construction on the tower though, so it could be possible. Incandescent weapons can generate sunspots. With Solar Titan, if you scorch something using incandescent, it will create a sunspot whenever it dies. There are a ton of free emblem codes that anyone can use. Go to bungie.net/redeem, log in, and you can put in all of these codes for a variety of emblems. Once you do that, you may need to relaunch your game, then you'll find them in the collections tab. Next, you can get a huge deal on good food thanks to today's sponsor, Factor. Factor offers fresh, ready-made meals delivered straight to your doorstep. You want food and you want it fast. With Factor, just grab a meal, poke some holes in it, stick it in the microwave for 2 minutes, and it's ready to eat. It's quicker and healthier than ordering fast food, and there's no meal prep or cleanup necessary. Factor meals arrive pre-prepared and ready to eat in 2 minutes or less. And their meals offer variety with a rotating weekly menu of over 27 delicious meal options and over 33 add-ons like smoothies, desserts, and more. If you want food that's fast, easy, and delicious, I highly recommend Factor. I've tried dozens of Factor meals and I loved each and every one of them. Meal plans range from 4 to 18 meals per week, and you can add more or reduce the number depending on your specific needs. You can easily modify your food preferences and even skip a week if needed. Try Factor today and use my link or go to go.factor75.com and use code POGMARSHIXDecember60 for 60% off your first box. If you didn't know, that's more than half off. Once you click, my description will live update to count up the purchases. Try it out, I love it, and I know you'll love it too. Thank you to Factor for sponsoring this video. There used to be a glitch that allowed you to solo the entirety of Deepstone Crypt. There were 3 finishers that made you join allies when you use them. This allowed you to do all kinds of things like teleport between rooms, remove buffs, and despawn bombs. It was crazy. Banshee is Clovis Bray. Prometheus Lens used to be broken in Crucible. It could kill way faster than anything else in the game. It quickly got patched, but to remember the laser tag weekend, Bungie made an emblem called Prismatic Inferno for everyone who played during that time. Same thing with Lord of Wolves. If you played back when it ruled the Crucible, you were given the Wolves Unleashed emblem. Did you know Masterworks didn't exist in vanilla Destiny 2? Once you got an item, you had it. There was no way to upgrade it. Masterwork weapons were added in the first expansion, and Masterwork armor was added much later. One thing you could change though on weapons was the element. By changing a mod, any weapon could have your preferred element. This feature was eventually removed, but it's still a cool concept that I would love to see return for crafted weapons. While we're talking about old D2, there were no special weapons originally. You only had 2 primary weapons and a heavy. Weapons like Merciless, Borealis, and Telesto were even classified as heavy weapons, and this made the game very boring in the beginning. There are wild animals in Destiny. In the EDZ, you can see rabbits run across the road. On Nessus, there are flying dinosaur creatures, and in the swamps of the Throne World, there's this thing. And let's not forget Greg in the tower. You can go Mach 10 by combining Eager Edge with either Shadow Dive, Well, or Bubble. This makes any jumping puzzle super easy. Bungie turned Jotun into a toaster. This isn't even a joke. This is a real toaster. Warmind cells can activate the cables in the Spire of the Watcher dungeon. This makes every encounter stupid easy. The same thing goes for the Stasis Super on Warlock. There's an emblem that costs $5,000. The only way to get the Function of Grace emblem is if you raised $5,000 for a charity event through the Bungie Foundation. This makes it possibly the most expensive emblem in the game. You can fly with a Titan. All you need is a sword and lion rampants. Then you can fly to pretty much any part of the map. There's a secret area inside the Shard of the Traveler. Going out of bounds and doing some crazy movements, you can get close enough to the Shard where it'll suck you in and teleport you to a secret area that looks very similar to Marasov's throne world. This doesn't seem to have any real use, but it's speculated that this is where Marasov bathes. The first exotic ever shown to the public was Thunderlord, and it looks drastically different than what we ultimately got. Stasis abilities were originally designed to remove players from their supers, as shown in this trailer. This would have been awful in Crucible, so it's a good thing they changed it. We're getting grappling hooks in Lightfall. The Strand subclasses will have grenades that create grappling hooks so you can attach and swing to any point. This will completely change how maps and jumping puzzles are created, and the gameplay is going to be sick. The voice actor for Zavala has a cameo, so you can pay him to send you a message. I wanted to try this out for this video, but unfortunately he's not currently active on there.
This is Zavala, and I have an urgent dispatch from, as you humans say, your boy.
There's one exotic I guarantee you've never gotten. There was once an exotic called the Fate of All Fools. This is a scout rifle, even though it shares the same model as No Time to Explain. Only one of these were ever given out, and it was given to a cancer patient who was a huge fan of Destiny 1. It was later turned into the Jade Rabbit, and its exotic perk kept the same name. The Traveler's Chosen exotic was based on the first weapon you receive in Destiny 2. There was also an exotic Kvostov in Destiny 1 for the same reason. Overload rounds work all the time, not just on champions. Enemies hit by overload rounds will deal reduced damage, so there's no reason not to run this in every activity. The first mission of Season of the Haunted has a section where enemies infinitely spawn. This makes it a decent spot for grinding bounties, triumphs, and weapon levels. Destiny was hinted at in Halo. In one of the missions, you can find a poster saying Destiny awaits with a picture of Earth with the Traveler. We knew about the pyramid ships years before they were in the game. Original concept art showed pictures of the pyramids, and some of the art made it into the game as a loading screen. Alongside that, they showed pictures of these creatures, which may represent nightmares, or a completely different darkness race. The only legacy exotic weapon to never get an update is Pocket Infinity. This was an exotic fusion rifle that fired in full auto, and it could return ammo to the magazine. This caused a lot of problems for the game, so they never gave it a current version in D1 or D2. Solo Lost Sectors have a 1 in 4 chance of dropping an exotic on Legend and a 1 in 3 chance on Master. There's no drop protection though, so if you get really unlucky, you could go 20 or more runs with absolutely no loot. Bungie really needs to change that. Some of our exotic weapons are sentient. Merciless, Darcy, and Super Good Advice are all controlled by AI, and weapons like Whisper of the Worm, Touch of Malice, and Parasite are created with the remains of hive gods that we've killed. The lore for these weapons is much more detailed than that, so I definitely recommend looking those up. The Zephyr Sword from the Dawning is the only weapon to get Cold Steel, a really strong perk that freezes enemies when hit by a sword. There's a way to get 1 million XP per hour, or at least there used to be. In the Shattered Throne, you used to be able to kill Shadow Thrall to complete bounties. You could grab bounties from orbit, then go here to complete them, then go back to orbit, and repeat the process to get over 1 million XP per hour. Another good way to get XP is on the moon. If you stand in the back of the Hall of Wisdom, enemies will infinitely respawn in one spot, so you can throw a grenade to kill them all. You can also automate this using a macro to AFK farm XP. Kills with Headstone will create stasis crystals. Anything blown up by the crystal will count as kills with your weapon. This means multi-kills with the crystal will activate perks like Unrelenting, which makes for some really interesting combos. You probably didn't know that the Power Preservation mod is kind of OP. Normally your super can't generate more than 7 orbs. This mod says your super final blows create extra orbs of power, but in reality it removes the cap so you can create dozens of orbs per super. The Pit of Heresy dungeon is the only activity in the game that drops high stat armor with 2 guaranteed spikes. This is some of the best armor in the game, and you can even farm it during weeks where it's the featured dungeon. The Vostok Crucible map used to be a social space. It looked a little different back then, but it was home to the Iron Temple, and you could even climb to the top of the mountain. The boss from the Lightblade Strike is Alikul the Lightblade, inspired by Alikul the Darkblade from Destiny 1. It's hard to tell, but the boss room is also similar to the original design, and the knights that spawn every phase are a reference to the knights that you had to kill for the exotic sword quest in the original Darkblade Strike. Destiny 1 also had a fan favorite game mode called Sparrow Racing League. Around Christmas of 2015 and 2016, there was a tournament style mode where you could race other players. It was always a ton of fun, and I loved the idea of other game modes that you don't typically see in first-person shooters. It's a shame it was only available 2 times before it was discontinued. Did you know that you can play Destiny in Fall Guys? Yes, the Destiny classes are playable in Fall Guys. You can also play as assassins from Assassin's Creed and Destiny using ornaments and finishers. Mida multi-tool is not even from our dimension. According to the lore, it came from a different timeline and heavily hints at it originating from one of Bungie's old games called Marathon. Kinda like how we got the battle rifle and magnum from Halo. The craziest thing in Destiny history has to be the secret code in Last Exit. This was a Crucible map added in the final expansion of Destiny 1, and it contained a secret code.
You're probably happier playing video games, which is where we will leave you. That's where we like you best, is playing video games.
Have they broken the code in Last Exit yet?
What?
What? Nothing. Never. I've said too much. Anyway.
Is this really a thing?
What? Of course.
There's a code in Last Exit.
Sure.
All over the map, there were flashing lights, maps of the subway tunnels, and an odd string of text repeating itself. Unfortunately, after more than 5 years, this puzzle is still not solved, so who knows what secret may be hiding here. Did you know you can fill up an entire room with enhancement cores? Well, you can, and you can check out this video to see how to do so as a solo player. Thanks for watching, I'm Marshix, and I'll see you next time.